All right, well, welcome to LorcanaChats. I'm Chris, aka Questing for Lore, and I have Jared with me today from the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. Jared, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hey everybody, yeah, that's a pretty broad question. My name's Jared. I do run the Citizens of Lorcana Twitter account, and we also have a podcast that we've been doing for over a year now. And I was talking, my wife and I were talking to the other day, and she's like, "I can't believe you're still doing this after a year." I was like, "Honey, that's because new things come up all the time." She's like, "I just would have figured you'd run out of things to say." So clearly, my wife is not a TCG game player, but I'm loving it. We're loving it, and just really enjoying this community, and super excited that you are jumping on the content creation train here.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I really only started getting into Lorcana maybe 9, 10 months ago. So I'm still relatively new and didn't really play many TCGs before that either. So it's
Same,
kind of a
same.
learning process on that side. So well, cool. Well, let me ask, why did you start the podcast?
We were talking a little bit off air how you had created content for something else before. I'd always had this itch to create content around something, tried doing it around, my profession, tried doing it around other things, but nothing ever really took hold. And when Lorcana came out, I just became obsessed with it, and I wanted to have an outlet to communicate with people. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and started a podcast. I tried running solo, kind of like what you're doing here at first, and kind of floundered there for a little while until my
No
co-host
pun
James reached
intended,
out.
huh?
No pun intended. That's right. My co-host James reached out to me probably a couple months after I started, and he's like, "Hey, if you're looking for a co-host, I'd be interested." And the rest is history.
Nice. That's awesome. I remember, yeah, I think yours was actually, if not the first, it was one of the first podcasts that I found that I listened to. And I remember listening to that first episode, and I think it, like you said, I think it was just you at that time. But I really liked the things that you said about, building a community and for it being like a safe space for people to come and, share ideas and really try to, kind of broaden the whole community. I appreciate that. That's one of the things, like you said, the community has been really great. It's not something where it's like, oh, you've never played a TCG before. Well, we don't want to have anything to do with you. And everybody's been really welcoming and really nice. And there's drama, but there's going to be drama in any community. So
Yeah, yeah, and the bigger it gets, the more drama there is. But I'm not gonna say we're up there among the biggest TCGs. We're getting there, and I feel like the creator space as a whole is pretty darn welcoming.
yeah, we've got quite a variety. I mean, there's lots of podcasts, lots of video producers or content creators. You've got random folks like Rebecca over on Instagram, doing singing parody songs and stuff like that. So,
Oh, she's great.
she is. I actually have her on my list to talk to later on. So, well, cool. Well, so being a part of the community yourself, for more than a year now, I guess, doing the podcast or just doing, participating in the game in general. What do you feel like, you get out of the community yourself?
Okay. You want me to go all mushy here? Again,
Absolutely. I mean, this
again.
is about getting to know you. So,
So this is another thing my wife and I have talked about. We've been married for 8 years, and one of the things she's always like, "Why don't you have any friends?" And I was always like, "Well, because at the end of the workday, I just want to be home with my family." But I think since I've been in Lorcana, the thing that I've realized is that I just hadn't found my people. And I mean, like what we were talking about, I never had really participated in TCGs before. And so when Lorcana came out, I know it was Disney. Um, okay, I dabbled in TCGs before, but never like at the local game stores. That's what I'm talking about.
mhm.
So when Lorcana came out, it just hit all the right notes, and I definitely found my people. First online, before the game came out, we were all getting together, talking, speculating about what the game might be, what the rules might be like, where we where we'd be a year from now. And since the game has come out, I have my local game store, and I mean, it's great people all around. People are generally pretty nice. I haven't been to one of these super competitive events like the upcoming DLCs, Disney Lorcana challenges. But in spite of, all the drama that's been on Twitter lately about rule sharks, I think for the most part, people are going to be friendly. And if nothing else, after the matches are all over, it's one of those things where you can go hang out and still, jam some games.
Yep, yep. It's always fun. I don't get out to my local game store as much as I'd like to. I usually we have ours on Saturday afternoons, and I usually have some kind of conflict, of course, with kids and everything. Seems like there's plenty to do on the weekends, but
Well,
yeah,
hey,
I've
here's
enjoyed playing online and
my LGS. I love them. I love them, but they don't they don't really announce when they start selling their tickets for the upcoming week's, league event.
uh,
They do it
mhm.
randomly. Like one day it'll be Monday, one week it'll be Wednesday. And lately it's been selling out before I even have a chance to buy a ticket. So I've actually only been to my local game store like once in the last month. And I'm not going this week because it's all sold out. So that's my one little complaint right here.
Yeah, yeah. How many people is sold out?
So this is a smaller place. I mean, there are places that could accommodate as many people. Like there are places where we have 30 plus people, but this one is about 16 is about max there.
Okay, that's good size. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think ours is maxed out at like 12. So
Okay. Okay.
kind of the same area, but yeah, it's always fun to play in person, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. And especially when you're trying out new stuff, to only be able to do it once a week and only be able to play a couple of games worth, it makes it hard. But I'm very thankful that we have, Pixelborn and some of the other tools out there to kind of run through these decks. And there's so many that come out all the time. Between all the competitions and everything, I think there was one that just happened over in Europe. I kind of forget where, but it was like a big one. But the deck lists that come out of that, the top decks and everything, it's crazy. And to be able to have that place where we can pull those, from like Dreamborn or wherever, and just try them out is so much fun. Just,
Yeah.
hey, I've got 20 minutes. I'm going to sit down and play a couple of games, see how this goes.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
so what's your preferred deck type these days?
I've been a Sapphire guy from the start. Sapphire has my heart. It wasn't a very viable deck in set one. At the very end, there was a Sapphire Amber deck that came out, and that did okay. And then set two, there was a Sapphire Ruby deck at the very beginning, but that quickly fell out of favor. And then at the end of set two, there's a Sapphire Steel deck that came out. But for set three, it's not the most consistent. I know it doesn't top a lot of the tournaments, doesn't get a lot of the top eights, but this Sapphire Ruby Lucky Dime deck is something that I
Uh,
really enjoy playing.
yep, yep. I tried that once and I just couldn't get the hang of it, but it
Um,
seems like a really fun, I mean, if it's, played right, then it could wipe out just about anything, it seems like.
yeah, and I know the main thing people point out is that it's weak against aggro decks, but that the thing that it shores up against that is you have the Queen of Hearts with Rush, the two cost,
Mm.
and then you just ramp like a villain, man. One jump ahead, uh, Lucky Quill, and then as soon as you get Maui out, or if you can even ramp up to like a Scar Vicious Cheater and
Yeah.
just destroy their whole
Yep.
field. Ugh. I used to hate at the beginning I played I played Sapphire Amber. That was the deck that I played mostly, and I hated Ruby Amethyst. But now that I have Ruby in my arsenal, I kind of like it.
Yeah, yeah. You can see the appeal. Yep. Nice. Yeah, my heart belongs to Amber personally. Just the whole vibe of that ink, it seems pretty good.
That'd have to be
Um,
my second favorite. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There was one that I'm trying to remember. There was a Sapphire Amber deck that I was playing for a little while. And it worked pretty well. I was pretty happy with it. But then set three came out and it just kind of got demolished. So
I would
um
love for nothing more than a Sapphire Amber healing deck. I would love to be
mhm.
able to use Grand Pabby. Like that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh
I just
yeah.
hasn't been figured out yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure something will come along. I have no doubt. Like I was saying, there's tons of new decks that come out every day, it seems like. So,
Oh yeah.
um, okay. So, of course, the big question, what's the deal with Flounder?
You know, I can't even remember the exact genesis of it. I was making memes at the time, and it was during a reveal season of set one, and they were revealing, new cards. And, Flounder's just this like weak little sad fish. And so I would take like, say it was Maui, that has 5 willpower, and I'd put an image of 3 flounders, and I'd say 3 flounders greater than Maui. And it just tickled my funny bone. And
Yeah.
then I just started making more memes with Flounder, and people thought it was, at first, people thought it was funny, and then they absolutely hated it. And now they kind of tolerate it. And Flounder just stuck.
I think it's
It's been
funny.
my jam.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I fully expect that, if we ever meet in person that you have a hat or a shirt with Flounder on it. Otherwise, I'm going to be severely disappointed. So,
Well, I'll tell you what. When I do go to these Disney challenges, I do have like a PSA 10 foil flounder. They want to put like a gold chain around, like
nice.
what's his name, Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whoever, with the Charizard. Yeah,
Hmm.
there we go.
That would be perfect. The ultimate accessory. Nice. Oh, well, so I want to get kind of back to some of the community stuff. I know we got sidetracked a little bit, but um, so what do you think? How do you think the community can improve in the future? What's one or two things that you think, hey, we could really use something like this in the community, or we need to be better about this, or that kind of thing.
That's a great question. The very first thing that popped into my mind was the juniors division. I mean,
Hmm.
I so personal life here. I have 2 kids back in Idaho. They live with their mom. We're divorced. So, but I go up once a month to be with them, and I always take my son to Lorcana League because he loves it. Um, but I just feel bad for him because he always gets just crushed. And I know, like I've talked
Yeah.
about this on Twitter, and people are like, "Oh, that just teaches them to be better." And maybe I'm more
Yeah.
hurt for him than he actually is himself. But it'd be really cool if there's a junior division where it wasn't just a bunch of tryhards, where kids were matched against people of, I know they're good kids, just like they're good adults. There's always going to be people that are better than others, but overall speaking, the average skill set of, kids in a junior division would be a lot more equal than him going against a 40-year-old guy that has
Yep.
all the cards that have been printed. That'd be number one. But I will say this, the community has been very welcoming. Like everybody at my son's local game store knows him. They all say hi. And like it's been a really good thing for him to see like grown men that
Yeah.
do something like this for fun. Like that's their outlet. So that's number one. You asked for a couple. So I'd say number two, and this is something that, we all generally probably need to improve on, is just overall uh our overall welcomingness to everybody that comes in. The TCG space is great and wonderful, and it attracts a wide variety of people with different personalities. Sometimes these personalities can clash, but I think a lot of us are easy to assign malintent to somebody's actions when it could just be like maybe they're a socially awkward person and they don't know how to interact.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I think if we just gave each other some grace in that regards, that it would be a lot happier place. And these interactions are a lot worse online, like on Twitter and Facebook, where you
Yeah.
can't read those social context and cues.
Hmm. Yep. Oh yeah. No, I totally understand the whole social awkwardness kind of thing, especially for people that are new. If you're going to your LGS for the first time, sitting down and playing,
Very
you have no
frightening.
idea what to expect. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's good to hear that, that everybody, especially, for your kid, being very welcoming for that. Um, I kind of joke about it, but it's not, 100% a joke. It seems like all the pictures from competitions and events, Lorcana specific stuff, all look the same. They're all just kind of the middle-aged white guys. I've actually gone to some of the pictures and looked through, and it's like, okay, there's two women in this entire group of like 60 people. So,
Well, and I think a part of that is selection bias. I mean, number one, somebody put on Twitter, and this makes a lot of sense. When you pay luxury prices for pieces of cardboard, like it's going to be self-selecting. Like
that's true.
the price, the cost of Lorcana is prohibitive to people that don't have discretionary income. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, they could buy cards, they could get a starter deck, but they're not going to be competing for those top spots.
Right.
And um, as far as the women go, I absolutely agree. And that's one of the things that the ladies on Live La Florcana are always, harping on is trying to get more women involved. And I will say that, at my local game store and even at, my son's in Idaho, those are the two that I go to the most. There seems to be a lot more women going out. Um,
Good.
and hopefully one of these days they can break through and get into those top cuts.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Do you think, I mean, I'm not familiar with other communities. Are there things in other TCG communities where they have like specific events or something catering towards, not the usual crowd for the games? Or
I think, um, well, I'm not entirely sure about that either, but I think we haven't heard any details about these fan events that Ravensburger has talked about, but I think that that's probably who they're going to be catering towards because honestly, these competitive events, like that attracts a certain crowd of people, but there's a probably a greater percentage of people that, you know, don't want to spend 9 hours a day or like a 9 hour day trying to compete for a shiny piece of cardboard.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that these fan events are going to be designed to cater towards that population of players.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great to see.
I know,
I
I was
know.
really hoping that they would give us details by now.
I
And it's
know.
kind of been
It's
swept
getting
under the
pretty
rug.
close. Yeah. Well, the Atlanta event is getting close. I guess they've got a bunch of other ones to think about too. So,
Well, those are the DLCs, but they said
right.
in their announcement, they're like, we're going to have, official organized play events, but we're also going to have official fan events. Now, whether these coincide with the DLCs or there's something separate, the way the way they made it sound to me, and I could probably just been taking this wrong, was that they would be something separate. So
Hmm.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think, and that would be good, honestly, to give more opportunities to more people of, different areas, different backgrounds and everything. It's not, oh, it's a big competition. I'm not that good at the game. I don't want to be that great at the game, but I still want to
You and me
participate.
both.
I still want to have fun.
Yeah.
But
And I think that's
yeah.
where side events at these big competitions would be huge because
Mhm.
yeah, you and I are under no illusion that we'll probably make it to day two of one of these events. However, if they have these side events where it's like 3v3 or it's, multiplayer or it's, a certain like two feature format where you can have cards from two different movies in your deck, I think that would do a lot to attract the casual crowd.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, things at the DLC go. Are you going to the Atlanta one?
No, no, I
Oh,
wish,
okay.
but I have a budget.
Yeah.
And,
You gotta spend it on the cards first, right? That's where it
I
goes to
know, I
first.
know. But there is a DLC in Las Vegas in September, which is where I
Uh,
live.
oh,
So
okay.
I will
Perfect.
most likely be going to that one. I also like there's nothing official announced. Like they're having a presence at D23, and I
Mhm.
did snatch up some tickets to go to D23, and I'm hoping, fingers
Nice.
crossed, that maybe that's where they have one of these fan events. But
I
I
could
don't
see
know
it.
anything. That's just a hope and a prayer.
Yeah, yeah. That would be good. That because deal or uh oh geez. The Disney event, D23.
Yeah,
Um, that was where they first like put out and mentioned Lorcana, like way back. What was it?
2022.
2022? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they handed out the promo cards and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
That's really cool. I mean, I could see them keeping that kind of tradition, having something, because I mean, it's judging by the reception of the DLCs and how quickly tickets have been selling out, there's definitely a community out there that's interested in it for such a young game, too.
The the one hesitation I have about there being anything at D23 is tickets sold out within like 2 days. And we haven't heard anything if, Ravensburger is going to be there. And I
Hmm.
think that that's something that they would have let people know ahead of time so they could have bought tickets. Because if they announce something now and people don't have the ability to get their hands on tickets, there's going to be a lot of angry people out there.
Yeah, yeah. Now, do they have for that event, I haven't actually heard much about it, honestly. I mean, other than it's a thing. Do they have like side event kind of stuff there? Like, or do you have to have a ticket to participate in everything?
At D23,
Hmm.
to get into the convention, you have to have a ticket. And I will say this, Ravensburger said that for their events, they will not be at a ticketed event, something like Gen Con.
Hmm.
And I would assume something like D23. So if they do something, like, yeah, they might have, like, it's going to be right after set five releases. So it's going to be a great place to buy set five at D23. But if they do have something like a fan experience, I would imagine that would be held somewhere that is accessible by the general population.
Yeah, fingers
But who
crossed, right?
knows? Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. No, well, hopefully we'll hear something soon about that. It'd be interesting to see what they're planning, if it's, something smaller, bigger, who knows. But, um, so I guess kind of my last question, what would you like to see in the game's future? Like the actual game itself. I know we've talked a lot about the community and improving that, and I'd be interested to see what you would like to see in the future of the game. I know we kind of got surprised this time with the whole Ursula, co-op kind of thing. But what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm very excited for that. And I've talked to some people who've had a chance to, play test that. And they said it's very tough. It's very tough, even
Oh,
the easy mode.
okay.
So I'm very
That's
excited to see
good.
how that plays out. I'm really curious to know what's inside that pack.
Hmm.
Um, I don't have a huge wish list. My number one thing that I wish for is for Oswald, the lucky rabbit, to get in the game. Because
Yeah.
as much as I'm known as the flounder guy, I tried to make it Oswald, but Flounder stuck. But I'm a huge Oswald stan, and I just would love to see people, characters like Oswald and Hortensia and Horace, and Clarabelle kind of is in the game with that card that she got from the
Yeah.
last
The
set.
song or
Um,
whatever. Yeah.
but it'd be really cool to see her get her own card,
Mhm.
and just to pay an homage to the OG Disney stuff. And it would be really cool. Like, I love that Steamboat Mickey that's black and white. However, it'd be so cool if the whole card was just black and white. At least the picture, that the text
Yeah.
and stuff can
Yeah.
be colored too, but the actual art, if it was black and white, ugh, take my money, Disney.
Well, yeah, and actually, that kind of made me think of something I saw the other day, and I guess this is a thing in other games as well, where there are like cards that have no color, like not design choices, but there's actual like it's a mechanic in the game.
Yeah. Back in the beginning, before we knew anything about the game, that's what a lot of people speculated steel would be because, steel is kind of a neutral color, and it was the only ink that wasn't based off like a gemstone. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of speculation that steel would be that color. The other thing that I see people talking about is dual colored inks. So it'd be really cool to
Mhm.
have like, a sapphire card that has some, emerald shenanigans attached to it. That'd be kind of fun. And then the other one that I think could be kind of neat, and this probably wouldn't be for years out, but the tag team that you see in Pokemon, where you have two different Pokemon that, team up in this card and they both bring different abilities, whether one brings, a huge stat line and the other one brings a fantastic ability, something like that. That'd be kind of fun too. Like have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Mickey
I
and
could
Minnie
see it.
card.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice. I wonder how
Yeah.
that would work in the game.
Yeah, I don't know
That'd be
either. I don't
interesting.
design the game.
Yeah, I know, right? For as much as we all like to, pore over the rules and try to figure out, different combos and everything, I don't envy the job of trying to come up with all this stuff, on the Ravensburger side. There's just
Yeah.
so much involved in balance and, making sure that because certain inks, they kind of work certain ways and they have certain strengths and everything, and trying to keep that all straight to where, there's not just like one card. Well, I say this where there's not just one card that's completely overpowered, but you kind of already got some of those. But
Well, I mean, they're not terrible. They could be worse. I know lots of people complain about you're talking about a whole new
true.
world and be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, there's a world where those cards could be absolutely punishing, but I mean, I don't think there's anything that is super overpowered yet. They're definitely there. And that's one of the things that Steve Warner said in an interview, or Ryan, it was Ryan Miller
Mm.
in one of the interviews when he's over in France. He said, "We purposefully designed some cards that push the boundaries." He's like, "We don't want them to be breaking the game, but we want them to, push the boundaries because otherwise it's just kind of boring."
Yeah. Yep. No, I
Um,
could see it.
and then as far as other wishes that I'd love to see in the game, I will say Ravensburg has stepped up their game lately. But as a content creator and as somebody who follows Ravensburger and Lorcana obsessively, better communication would be amazing. Um, I look at the release of Star Wars Unlimited and the communication that they put out there to their fan base, to their followers, and even the things that they've done, like with their content creators, putting out, their calendar of, these are the sets, these are their names, this is the one they're releasing. Having that level of communication would be
Transparency.
fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, I can understand that. I know, especially around some of the the competition and the rules and everything. I know people were asking for those the complete rules
That's
for at least
yes.
a year. I mean, it's been a while, but and
But
now
at
that
the
we
end of the
finally got
day,
them.
yeah. And now that we have them, people are rule sharking like crazy.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
I
at the
mean,
end
I
of the
have
day,
to.
like I feel like they've done a great job. The thing I have to give Ravensburger some grace for is that they are completely new to the TCG space. Like, yeah, they
Mhm.
have Villainous and they've run competitive events with Villainous, but that is a completely different beast
Oh yeah.
than a TCG. And so they're learning right alongside us. And every time the community really gets vocal about something, whether it's supply issues, whether it's what was the most oh yeah, the the player space, in these DLCs where they were only at 512, every time the
Mm-hmm.
community really raises its voice about something, they respond. It may not be as quickly as people would like back in set one, I know people would love to have had more product tomorrow, and they did move heaven and earth to get reprint in before Christmas, which is amazing. um
Mm-hmm.
but it's never going to be quick enough, it's never going to be soon enough, but they do listen and they do respond, and that deserves huge props.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think on the player cap, they turned it around in like a week
Yes,
or something.
it was
Yeah, it was
very
super
fast.
fast. Yeah. And that's so great, and then them actually being involved in hanging out in the Discord and answering questions and being part of the conversation in general. It's just good to have that presence, I think.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
like I said, they've really stepped up their game.
yep. Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to chat with me. Tell people how they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on the website formerly known as Twitter at Citizens of Lorcana. I've kind of slowed down a little bit here, but I just usually post like memes. I'll post new cards when we get new cards. Sometimes I'll post hot takes. Otherwise, you can find us on YouTube or the podcasting platform of your choice at the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. We also have a Discord by the same name. So basically, if you type in Citizens of Lorcana on Google, YouTube, wherever, you'll probably find me.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for the time. I appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you around.
Hey, I'm super excited for you. It's always scary at the first, but the more you keep doing it, the more reps you put in, the better it gets. Trust me. I
Yeah.
remember you had mentioned how you were listening to some of my first podcast and it was very bad. and and it's definitely gotten better
No, it
with time.
wasn't that bad. That wasn't bad.
The
I mean,
editing
I
was
stuck around, I
easy.
kept listening, so
There we
can't be
go.
all that bad, right?
Well, you're on a fun journey, and the thing that I love about content creation is it opens up so many doors for you that you would never have had open before. So just keep at it, keep reaching out, keep networking, and it's gonna be awesome.
Great. That's what I'm hoping. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great interviews with members of the Lorcana community. See you next time.